the next thing I want to talk about is really important to me because it is about this whole dynamic about love and grief. And, you know, love and grief are just incredible. They are so close in so many ways. And what I wanted to do was to let you know that years ago, when I first started DearMamaSal, I met this incredible human being called Manon. And Manon comes from the south of France, and she is just delightful. And I had the luxury, the real luxury, of being able to meet her. She actually came to Vancouver, and I got to spend a couple of days with her. And I want to tell you, I laughed and I cried, and I felt so blessed to have met her in person, because she is exactly, you know, some people, you wonder, are they really like that? All right, if I met them one-on-one, are they really like that? And I want to tell you, Manon was exactly as I expected her to be, and even better, right? And the reason I am so impressed with Manon is she can be so funny in a second language. You know, to be funny in your own language is a talent, but to be funny in a second language is really impressive. And I want to say that that is one of her greatest gifts. However, what I wanted to let you know was that she's gone through a heartbreak recently. And the heartbreak, for any of you who've ever been in love and then found out that the love that you gave unconditionally was no longer being reciprocated, if you like, was you know, the other person didn't feel the same way that you did. It was devastating for her. And she was, you know, she'd been living with a guy, and suddenly he said, you know, anyway, heartbreak stuff. So what I did was I decided I'd do a telephone call with Manon to talk to her. Gave her a few weeks to just get the worst of the emotion done, and supported her, you know, online. But then, you know, I just said, okay, fine, let's talk. I can't remember whether she asked to talk or whether I suggested it. Anyway, I've got a feeling she might have asked for it. But yesterday I got to talk to her, and, you know, it was just such a delight. And, you know, you would expect that it would be a sad conversation, and in places it was. But on the other hand, we had such great memories together that it was amazing. Hi, Bernice, good to see you. And welcome back. And I want to say that it was just such a wonderful feeling of love, even though what we were talking about was grieving. And so I just wanted to say that all of us need to know that you don't get to love that much very often. And the reality is that you only hurt that much because you love that much. Does that make sense? If you didn't care, it wouldn't hurt. You just go, oh, fine, on. Which, by the way, as some of you know, it is easier sometimes, from my experience. Men seem to be able to move right on without any problem. Okay, that's over, next. But women, for some reason, we take this very personally and get quite angry. And so, not all women, I know, but most of us. And so one of the things I wanted to let you know is just remember that any loss goes through that cycle of loss. You know, you're going to be in denial. I can't believe this just happened to me. You're going to get angry. How dare he do this to me? You're going to get sad and cry a lot. And you're going to eventually end up with some sort of level of acceptance. Unfortunately, it comes in waves, and it doesn't necessarily come in that order. Sorry, the sun is coming around to my skylight here. and I am beginning to get very warm. So what happens is that you're going to have these waves going through, these waves of loss. And by the way, if you, I like to say that the waves of loss will take as long as they take, until your brain has got it all sorted out. Because that's really what's happening. Your brain's trying to take all those feelings and emotions and file them away and go, where do I need to file this now? And you're still pretty angry about this, so can I put it away yet? No, I'm still angry. And so it's a really interesting process when you can look at it from that perspective. And I found that when I understand what my brain is trying to do, then I can get through it more quickly. The other thing that I said, and I always say to people, is work on compartmentalizing when you're going to be sad. Now, one of the things that you all know is right at the beginning, you don't have control. All right. Out of nowhere, you suddenly start to cry. And it's not out of nowhere. Just your brain started to bring back a memory and you start to cry. And that's okay to cry. It's good. Feelings are good. They're not bad things, feelings. They're good things. It's how long we dwell with them that is the problem. And so what we were talking about was I asked Manon, has she managed to go through a day yet without crying? And she has. And that's a major step forward. And I said, well, then, you're on the path of grieving. Well done. And by the way, I was talking to a friend of mine whose husband died totally unexpectedly on Christmas Eve. Totally unexpected. He had some headaches going on, and they took him in for a scan. And when they did the scan, they found that he had brain cancer, and they operated, and they sent him home and said, you need to know he's not going to be around very long. Do what you have to do. And so he died literally within the week. It was the scariest thing. And so I got to speak yesterday to my friend, his wife. And, I was amazed at the things that she was telling me she has managed to do since then. And I'm going to be actually meeting her for a socially distant lunch on Tuesday. And I'll be able to tell you more about what did she do to be able to move on like this. And he was not only her husband, he was her partner in work. And so therefore the loss was doubly impactful. Not only did she lose her husband, she also lost her work partner of over 30 years. And so to me, it was very, very interesting conversation. And one of the things that I said is that some people, if you have got emotional intelligence, you will still hurt. You will still hurt. But what I found is emotionally intelligent people understand that suffering is a choice. All right. And suffering is that you don't torture yourself with it. That you cry and you have every right to cry and that you have every reason to be sad. But it doesn't have to dominate your life. You can have these moments and then correct them, if you like. Wait for the sadness to pass. How long does it last? For those of you who've been through great sadness, when you get that sort of sudden wave of crying, how long do you find that it lasts? For me, I found that it lasts about 15 minutes, and then I sort of get control again. And then I can, choose to get on with my life, or I can choose to curl up on the couch and turn my back to the world. It's up to me what I choose to do. So I believe that these lessons about love, and again, remember, if you didn't love as much, you wouldn't hurt as much. And therefore, the fact that you hurt is a good thing. It says that you really loved. Now, one of the things that I asked Manon is, was she angry? And if so, at who was she angry at? And she said that she was angry at herself. And I said, did you see the signs and ignore them? And I wonder if any of you have any experience of that, where you were in a relationship And there were signs that things were not right, but you sort of chose to ignore them. Or maybe you decided, hang on a second, maybe I'm just not loving him enough, so I'll do more. And then you ended up still at the same place. Interesting. Jody is saying she finds that when she's in grief like that, she'll cry for about 30 minutes and then she gets herself together and works on processing it and turning it around. And I believe, Jody, that I don't know about you, but for me, one of the things that I find helps me process is to say, hey, it's quite all right that you're sad. You know, it's quite normal that you're sad. But how long do you want to be sad for? You know, he wouldn't want you to be sad. And one of the things as well that I talked to Manon about is if you loved him, and this is the most difficult step, if you loved him, and I tell you this from my own experience, then you will know that you have got emotional control of the situation when you can say to yourself, I love him enough to want him to be happy, even if it's not with me. Think about that. I want to tell you that I was in grief and I could not get over that grief until I made that decision. And the moment I made that decision, which is, hey, I loved him. I might not love him right now, but I loved him. And love means that I would want the best for him. And if I didn't make him happy, then I hope that he is with somebody that does.